The Epstein files came up during Tucker Carlson's debate with US Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee. Huckabee sure did play dumb while displaying a shocking level of disinterest when it came to pedophiles victimizing American girls. Take a look.
The current president of Israel, who I know you know, President Herzog,
know him very well,
apparently was at Pedo Island. That's what it says in the disclosures. And of course, we know that the former prime minister, Ehud Barak, was living on and off at Epstein's house. So still living high-level Israeli officials are directly implicated in Epstein's life, if not his crimes. So I would think that you'd be following this.
Only I was not aware that there was any connection with President Herzog. I would be surprised to hear that. I knew there was about the former prime minister, who apparently had a lot of dealings with Epstein. But there's a lot going on in this part of the world, and frankly, that has not been top line item.
But you're surprised to hear that the current president of Israel, whom you know, is listed as a visitor to Pedo Island.
Had never heard that. Never heard it even in the Israeli press.
You know, there's like so many other things going on. I don't really have time to be concerned about a pedophile ring tied to Israel that's carrying out sexual misconduct and rape of American girls. So can we just move on now? That's effectively what Huckabee said there. Amazing.
Yeah. So first of all, if I'm ambassador to a country, let's pick a random one, Kazakhstan, and it turns out the current president of Kazakhstan went to, Pedo Island, as he's calling it, with Epstein, that would literally be my job to know that. Like if an interviewer surprised me with that, that would be deeply embarrassing. I'm the ambassador to this country. But of course, Mike Huckabee is not our ambassador. He's Israel's representative. But Anna, there was one telling moment there outside of that Epstein conversation. And he said, and of course, there's the overall point, which is like, Epstein, what's the big deal? I mean, he was just raping American kids. He didn't even do anything to my beloved Israelis. In fact, he worked for Israel and getting cyber weapons and so many other deals. But my favorite moment was actually, he said, well, I didn't even hear anything about that, even in the Israeli press, which was an accidental confession that we do such a great job of controlling the American press. They never criticize Israel. But in the Israeli press, you could actually find out some truth because we can't call them anti-Semites. And even in the Israeli press, there was no reporting on this.
No, Cenk, you're absolutely right. I did catch that actually. And as I've said on this show a million times before, I get my news about Israel from Israel. So I'm very aware of what gets covered in Israeli press versus US press. And it hadn't really struck me until the moment I heard Huckabee say what he said. I actually haven't seen much in the Israeli press in regard to the Epstein files. I certainly haven't seen anything about President Herzog. So that's not to say that there isn't any reporting at all. Obviously, I'm not like a superhero. I can't read every single thing that they put out. But in terms of like the main publications, I certainly haven't seen anything about the president's relationship with Epstein. But look, there's one other part of this Epstein portion of their conversation that I want to get to, because look, Epstein's ties to Mossad did come up. And at this point, anyone who is denying that Epstein had a close relationship with Israel is either ill-informed, okay? I'll give them that if they just don't know. But in the case of Mike Huckabee, I would just venture to say they're just trying to cover it up. So let's watch that exchange.
You attacked me personally for suggesting that Jeffrey Epstein had ties to Mossad, and you said that.
You think he does?
What's very clear he does from the files.
You think he does? From where do you get that?
Well, the fact that he was in contact repeatedly with members of the Israeli government, including the current president and the former prime minister, and all kinds of Israeli intel-connected people. I'm not saying he worked for Mossad. I don't think we know that. But there's no question that he had extensive contact with CIA.
But I think you said it. Turning point event. Everybody knows Jeffrey Epstein.
I said everyone thinks, and it turns out everyone was right, that he did have.
I'm not sure everyone was right or everyone thinks.
You haven't looked at the evidence, and you're not pushing for the release of the total corpus of evidence. And I'm confused because I want to believe that your goal is to get to the truth, and the fastest way to do that is by releasing the evidence. Don't you think?
You suggest that I can release the evidence?
I'm suggesting you could call for it right now.
Well, fine, call for it. Let's have it all open. I thought it was being all opened up for everything I know.
Once it's open, I hope you'll read it.
I'm pretty sure that Huckabee is acutely aware of Epstein's close relationship with Israel, and yes, Mossad. I do have one, criticism of portions of this interview that Tucker carried out, because look, everyone knows what you already think, Tucker, so just say it. Okay, you've already said it before. Yeah, Epstein worked for Mossad. Now, whether he was an agent or an asset, we don't know for sure. And I don't even think it really matters. I mean, just this week, a story that Dropsite News broke had to do with how Ehud Barak would spend so much time at Epstein's Manhattan apartment that the Israeli government set up security, including in-depth surveillance of that Manhattan apartment. And you're gonna tell me that Israel didn't know? You're gonna tell me Israel didn't know? Really? Come on.
No, I just gotta say this, because I keep mentioning the cyber weapons, and I'm not sure people are like fully comprehending it. Think about it, guys. Is there just a random guy who's not working with Mossad? Hey, honey, I'm gonna go grab some milk and eggs from the grocery store, and on my way, I'm gonna get Israel cyber weapons. No, there's no such person. You get Israel cyber weapons if you work for Israel. That's not complicated at all. So like this, they're all lying to you. It's right there. He procured cyber weapons. That's an intelligence operation, and you work for that government. That's the most obvious thing in the world, let alone the mountain of other evidence, including the Israeli spies staying at his place, and literally every international deal he did was for Israel. They're just lying to you in the most brazen way you could possibly imagine.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I highly recommend watching the full conversation. It was about 2.5 hours long, give or take. And they even talked about Tom Alexandrovich, who was one of the Israeli government officials having to do with, cyber protection and stuff like that. He was in the United States, got caught in an FBI sting operation, attempting to solicit a 15-year-old for sex. And the United States allowed him to fly back to Israel, and he hasn't been extradited. Doesn't look like Israel would even agree to extraditing him. It was a great conversation. Please check it out.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.